Thank you. I loved being on the Alaskan cruise with you this summer, and I was really aware of, even though I've been teaching this stuff for Louise Hay for 10 years, the negative thoughts that do push me in that direction. I've been very aware and really going toward attraction.
And we want you to think not so much about the negative thought, but do I have a better choice option? In other words, we don't want to call the thought positive and negative. We want to call it improved or not improved. In other words, it's the best thought I can find. It might be, by somebody else's standard, still a negative thought, but it could still be a really good forking choice for me. So we have to take negative and positive out of the equation, because that causes someone else to want to apply their standards about whether it's positive or negative, and nobody else can apply their standards. The only question is it an improved thought for me?
Thank you.
Yes.
And I have this wonderful, loving relationship with my mother. I always have. And she has dementia for the last 4 years, and I've been a loving, joyful daughter, being her caretaker. 6 weeks ago, she fell, and they thought she was going crazy. It took 4 weeks to find out that she had 6 fractured vertebrae. So now I'm trying to get her into a nursing home. She's in the hospital. She just finished her 2nd surgery. And I'm being hopeful. I'm coming up with the best thoughts I can think. Miracles are happening. And then I go to the hospital, and she's climbing the walls. And as I'm trying to get more positive thoughts between her and I, her demented mind is not adhering to what I'm trying to do. And I'm the one that's going to have to visit her in the nursing home that her demented mind gets her into. And I'm feeling so torn. I know if I can control what I think and what I bring into my life.
You think?
Okay, sometimes I can. But my heart is breaking as I'm watching her climb the walls. And now I know that they alleviated the pain. And she's still climbing the walls, and I'm trying to get her to sit so that I can get her into a good nursing home, because I'm so, I hate to use the word, but I'm fearful that only Creedmoor will take her where she is now. And I try to control my thoughts. I know I can't control hers, and my question is, how do I deal with a demented mind?
Well, this is a good opportunity for us to chew with you, for everyone to participate and hear, because it is really an extreme situation. We sort of have been on that theme a little bit already here today, and it feels to almost everyone that when there are people in your life that you care about who are in a situation where they are not able to live the life that they would choose for themselves, it is perhaps the most uncomfortable situation for the rest of you, because as you watch them living something different than you know they want to live, but you are powerless to change what they are living, then you're asking the impossible of yourself. We can feel that what's happening with your mother, the dementia that she's experiencing, is not as far out of alignment with conscious awareness as you think it is. She is, and has been for a while, feeling, because of her own ability to approach life and because of her love of you, she's been feeling the awkwardness of her life and the way it affects your life. And so, without too many words being spoken about it, about placing her somewhere, I love you and I'm a loving, caring daughter, but there are places that they could do a better job of taking care of you than I can, she is balking at the idea of that because of the huge unknown about it, because she sees it as the beginning of the end. And so that's what she's pushing against. She's not pushing against something that would temporarily be better for her. She's pushing against stepping through the door that she believes will be irreversible. And so we do not think that that's a sign of dementia. We think that's the sign of a clear-minded being who sees herself being herded toward something that she doesn't want to go toward. We think that it would be equivalent to any of you having someone approach you with a pillow that they say, now don't worry, I'm just going to lay this right over your face. And it's a really soft pillow, and it's hardly going to bother you at all. And granted, you will not be able to breathe with this pillow over your face, but All of us have talked about it, and we've all agreed that it really is the most comfortable thing that we can think of doing with you. And then you say, oh, she seems to be going crazy. She seems to be going crazy as she does not just go along with all of our ideas about what's the most comfortable thing for her to do. All of you absolutely feel inner rebellion when you perceive yourself to be losing even more of your freedom, even when it is the logical thing. No one likes it. Never, never, never expect anybody to accept graciously the loss of their freedom. And don't call them crazy when they throw a fit over it. We are inside of them encouraging the fits. No one should ever be satisfied in being relegated into a less free place. And no one in their right mind would ever lay down and take that gently. Drugs will help because it will cause them to focus less and less and less. So if we were talking with her rather than you, we would be encouraging her into thoughts of greater freedom. We would be using words such as, this is a temporary situation. This is not something that is long term. This is something that is temporary while you catch your balance. If someone was saying to you, you are permanently going into something to which you know not what it is, and about which you've heard endless stories, don't you sort of want to give her a pat on the back for having a very logical, human, clear-minded, intelligent response to such a thing? You've got to understand that she does not feel as disempowered as the world is wanting to assign to her, you see. And we don't want any of you to root for encouraging someone more and more into their disempowerment. You do see this as the beginning of the end for her. You do see this as a nursing home, which will be the last place that she will live. And she can't stand that you see it that way. It's making her crazy. And we would think that it would make all of you crazy to have somebody else decide what they're going to do or what you're going to do with the rest of your life, you see. Now, here, this is the most important thing that we want you to hear from us. We're not trying to guide you away from what may very well be the best choice for her, which is this nursing home. But we're wanting to sort of jolt you in to seeing it from her point of view so that you start using better words and that so you start seeing it in a different light so that you start returning her to some of her own autonomy. In other words, she is still a thinking woman. She is still a brilliant woman. She still has much life before her, you see. She does not want to shut it all down right now. If she did, she'd be gone now, you see. There's more for her. And you've got to be like her inner being that is always calling her toward the more, not encouraging her to shut down from what is already before her. So, now if you want to know, as you're living this life with her and as you're watching what's happening, and as you have been watching it, you've been launching all kinds of rockets of desires into your vibrational escrow. In other words, you've been launching all of those rockets of desire. And Source has said, yes, 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 yes. So now you've got to coax yourself by talking to yourself in a way that feels better. You've got to coax yourself into closing that vibrational gap. None of the conversation that you gave us before we so boldly interrupted you closed that gap at all. Every bit of it just widened the gap. In other words, you've asked all kinds of things from Source Energy, but you're so busy looking at the reality of the plight your mother is living that now you did take a few steps in the right direction as you sort of got mad at her a little bit. Why do I have to suffer the consequences of the life that she has created? And that really is a step in the right direction, but you've got to close that gap. You've got to come to the place where you can think of her and feel good when you think about her, or you don't have anything to give her at all. So now let's play with this a little bit. My mother is intelligent. My mother has gone mad. Which fork feels better? My mother is intelligent. Which fork feels better? My mother has gone out of her mind, but who wouldn't in a feeling of loss of freedom? Or my mother has gone out of her mind. It is the beginning of the end. My mother's got out of her mind, but who wouldn't under these conditions? My mother's been acting very strangely, but she did have some broken bones. She was wiser about her own condition than any of us were giving her credit for. She's been trying to tell us and none of us would listen. She's wanting some autonomy in her own life experience. Maybe listening to her is a good idea because after all, she's in there where she is. She has a closer view about what's going on. She has a better view about her life than any of us have. Maybe I should give her the benefit of the doubt a little more. My mother doesn't know what she's doing. It's time to take everything away from her and terms of any decision making, and somebody else should make all of those decisions. Which of those felt better? My mother is wiser than I've been giving her credit. My mother is more stupid than any of us know. Which thought feels better? We know we're a little bold about this, but we're worked up over this. In other words, you are all headed toward being old in these bodies. Are you already planning for your own nursing home visits? We're wanting you to understand that unless you make a decision that you have the ability to be in control of your life experience, somebody's going to say to you, I'm going to take your driver's license away. I'm going to take your right to live wherever you want to live. This is the best thing for you. And what we're wanting you to understand is that only you know what is the best thing for you. And the best thing for you feels like the best thing to you. It doesn't feel like the worst thing to you and be the best thing to you. Nothing feels like the worst thing and is the best thing, you see.
I'm exhausted. I'm a teacher. This happened the first day of school. I got a call about her being taken by ambulance. And so for the last 4 weeks, I'm working all day, spending 2 hours in the car going back and forth, and then going to visit her every single day to try and be as loving as possible. And I come home and I'm exhausted. And sometimes it's difficult for me to be as hopeful as I'd like to be.
But here's the thing that we want you to understand, is that as you find a way, and you can, we'll show you, we'll demonstrate it all day, as you find a way to little by little close that vibrational gap between you and you won't be exhausted. In other words, let us demonstrate just some possibilities. We're all going to die, and that's a good thing. We're all going to die, and that's a bad thing. Which is it?
It's a good
Do you
thing.
mean it? Do you mean it? In other words, I'm an eternal being. I never cease to be. So my mother will eventually die, and that's a good thing. My mother will eventually die, and that's a bad thing. Which is it? My mother will eventually die, and that's all right. My mother will eventually die, and that's not all right. Which is it?
I feel like I'm in the middle. My mother will die, and I'm having a hard time accepting it because I love her and I'm in pain.
Well, we feel something a little different, and not just with you, but and maybe coming from a lot of places. But my mother is going to die. Why doesn't she just do it and save us all this trouble? Oh, some bells were rung.
It's like I'd rather see her die than see her in torment.
Well, again, we're going to say to you that you're in torment, but we don't wish you dead. In other words, she's not in any more torment than you are, and you don't have any broken bones. You are in a vibrational hell, self-caused, because you're looking at conditions as they are and you feel powerless to change them. You've got yourself, and it's easy to understand you're not alone in this. A lot of people do it. You have yourself right now in a temporarily impossible situation because what you really want, you believe you can't have. You really want her to be well, and you really want her to come back into her own power, and you don't believe that she's going to. And so you're in an impossible situation because you believe that you want something that you can't have. And what we're wanting to show you is that you can find thoughts that feel better than the thoughts that you've been finding, and you can bring yourself into alignment regardless of the condition that she is in. We don't mean to sound cold-hearted about it, but we want you to understand you've got to come into alignment. This is about your life, this conversation we're having, not about her life. It's about what I have to do. I have to work all day, and then I have to go over there, and I have to be someplace I don't want to be, and I have to try to do something that's impossible, and I'm tearing myself apart by trying to do this impossible thing. You have to make peace with where she is. You have to let where she is be where she is, and then you have to take your emotional vibrational stance in relationship to where she is. You can't say, under these conditions, I have to feel bad and I can't feel good again until she dies. That's part of the thing that's making her so fitful. From her point of view, what she sees is her own life out of control, and her own out of control life negatively impacting you. And what you want to demonstrate to her is that you love her. You want to demonstrate to her that you have discovered unconditional love. You can stay connected to source energy even under those conditions.